welcome back to the Sean Lowery Show podcast. And I have with me Mo Hasan.
It's a pace of play game today for the Commodores. Blitz comes. Hasan sees it, feels it, runs inside the 10, down to the 5, and falls. Man covers on the outside, and you have a mobile quarterback.
Mo, what's up, dude?
What's up, Sean? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys don't know, Mo's the USC quarterback. You've played kind of all over in your college football career, right?
Yeah, we've had quite a journey.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And also the host of the Momentum podcast, which is you and I think one of your former teammates are the co-hosts.
Yeah. So my buddy Justice, I played with him at Vanderbilt where I was before SE. He played with the Chiefs for a little bit.
Nice.
Now he lives out here in LA, so he's our co-host. Yeah.
And I think the headline of your podcast is it's in a truck.
Yeah, it's in a food truck, and yeah, that's an interesting one because I run a nonprofit. It's called Second Spoon.
Yeah.
And basically, we distribute surplus foods around the country, really, but here in LA, especially on Skid Row. And we kind of decided, why not? Let's do it in truck. When we're not giving out food, we convert into a studio. So we have a sofa, we've got some chairs, lights. We try to make it into a cool little atmosphere. Not as cool as your studio back there, but we try to make the best out of it. So.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah, I saw you were on the Today Show for your Second Spoon thing. Basically, you're helping take surplus food, feed homeless people. Like, that's amazing, man. And you got a truck for that. So that truck that you have the podcast in, it's mobile. You actually use it and drive it around.
Exactly. Yeah, it's mobile. That's kind of that's one of the bigger tenets of the nonprofit itself. Because one of the things we realize is that the food banks, they're situated in areas where oftentimes they miss homeless people in a way. And so I really love the mobility aspect where we can target different areas that haven't been traditionally targeted. So
you are getting your value out of that truck. You got a business and a podcast all out of the truck. And do you use it to like get around town too? I mean, geez, that's awesome.
I'm actually moving apartments, so it's been very helpful in the moving.
That truck is, I'm sure, got way more than it's worth for however much you got it for. So that's awesome. That's a way to use a truck for a lot of different things. That's awesome. But dude, I love the podcast. So like, tell everyone like what your podcast is all about. Like, is it a sports podcast? Is it just like pop culture? Are you just chatting? Like, how would you describe your podcast?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Man, honestly, we're trying to figure it out still. But
I feel you.
No, a lot of it's my teammates, different athletic personalities in LA. And I think it's a lot of what you're trying to do, just conversation. And that's what drew me to podcasts in the first place. I love listening to long form episodes, and I think it does a better job of communicating complex and nuanced ideas than short quip. Like, if you go on like ABC or the Today Show or something like that, it's all segmented, or something like this, you can really draw out your thoughts. And that was kind of the original idea. I think there's a lot of professional sport and NFL podcasts, but there weren't a lot of current student athlete college football ones.
True.
And so I noticed that, and obviously USC has a very strong fan base, and I thought, why not? I'm sure they would love to learn more about their student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, you have a cool perspective. You're currently on USC. People from around the sports world. Like, that's a cool perspective, and you can bring on. I saw you had on, I think some of the freshman quarterback for USC.
Yeah, we had some of the younger guys on.
Are they trying to like? It's so crazy. Like, I mean, I want to talk about the NIL stuff and all the rule changes, but like I remember when Johnny Manziel was a freshman, Texas A&M's policy was like, you can't talk to the media at all. And I don't know if other schools have that policy, but like from then until like now, the freshman quarterback just coming on your podcast, like, was he trying to like watch what he said? Is he just open free talking about whatever? Like, are they very aware of the fact that like they're a freshman and they got to watch what they say, or do they even have to?
You'd be surprised. They're actually very excited to be on it. I'm good friends with them, so they've been bugging me about getting on, and they just want to just talk about anything. So we talked about girls for honestly like 20-30 minutes. We talked about football. We talked about life as a highly recruited quarterback and everything that entails from on the field and off the field. So I don't know. I think that's what people are interested. That's what I'm interested. Try to make it as close to a locker room or like living room type conversation as possible.
Yeah, dude, you're doing a great job. I see you're down to like gossip a little bit too. I started talking about like the mob guy that approached you. I started talking about like Lane Kiffin, Bill Belichick. Like, dude, that's the stuff I love from podcasts. Like people who do have an inside like track on something else the public doesn't know. Just giving little snippets is always it's always awesome. And like you're like, who cares? Like you're all good. Like you call Bill Belichick Bill, I heard. And like you were kind of like your stomach dropped because I don't know if you should call him Mr. Belichick or coach, but like that's a funny tidbit. Like I laughed when you said that.
Yeah, the other one was the Mafia one, where I was telling the story when I was in Nashville at a bar. They went up to me and offered a few $100,000 to like basically rig games. And so
That's
sometimes
crazy.
you start to teeter a line where it's like, man, like should I be telling the story? Like are there repercussions, right?
And that's when it gets good. That's when it gets good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yo, let me ask a legitimate question about, okay, say you said yes, right? You take a couple $100,000, you go out in the field and your job is to lose the game, right? Like, wasn't that easier said than done? Like, what if you do a handoff and he takes it to the house and then the defense gets a pick six, you're up 14-0 and you're like, oh shit. Isn't it hard to fix a game if you're just one player?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't ask him the specifics. But no, that's a good point. I kind of imagined it as maybe like an over/under touchdown or like interception, and like, okay, you have to throw 3 interceptions.
Like a prop bet.
Potentially.
You should be like, dude, you should bet on me. You should bet on me to throw 5 touchdowns. That's what's gonna happen. You do it for free. That's what you should have said.
Exactly.
That's awesome though, dude. So keep that up. I love those little snippets.
Yeah, thank you.
So did you start your podcast? Like, have anything? Does that have any correlation to the NIL rule changes?
No, so that's interesting. I had the idea over COVID actually, and initially this was during the Black Lives Matter protests and a lot of the social issues that were going on in this country. And actually, a friend of mine came up to me. We were FaceTiming, and he said, he knew of my interest in podcasts in general, and he said, like, why don't you start one and have your teammates on, where they talk about the issues that matter most to them. Because you can post something on Instagram, you can put something on Twitter, but you're confined to certain characters, and it's not the same as a long form conversation like we're having now.
Sure.
So I said, yeah, that's a really good idea, and I started to look into it and the equipment and how we can make it happen. So that was the original idea, and since then it's transformed to what it is now. And I mean, we still will have those deeper conversations, but we also like to keep it light and laugh and have fun and just talk about whatever kind of stories we have going on in our lives. But so that was the original idea, and then going back to your NIL deal, that kind of happened out of nowhere, especially for California, because we did not know it was going to go into effect.
Really?
Originally, it was supposed to happen in 2023, and for me, I'm in grad school. I wasn't going to be playing college football in 2023, so this was just something for fun. And then basically the wheels started moving where other states started passing this legislation, and California felt the pressure to move it up and bump it up, and then eventually the NCAA created a uniform policy. But
it's only been about a month. It's only been about a month, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this is all new, and especially for us California guys, we didn't have time to prepare. Like guys in Florida at the University of Miami and University of Florida that I know, they've had months to prepare for it. So they've had agents lined up, deals lined up. For us in California and USC, basically 1 week to the next, all right, you can make money, you can sign an agent. Go ahead. And it's just the Wild West. Yeah.
It's the Wild West, dude. It really is. Yeah. And like, have you ever heard one person say, oh, I disagree with this ruling, like college athletes shouldn't be able to make money?
Yeah, but in a different way. Like what you would argue in that aspect would be a competitive disadvantage in the landscape of college football, where like
recruiting.
Exactly. Like the Alabamas of the world, the big market universities are going to have such a large advantage, such that the smaller market teams who could potentially have competed in the past may not be able to anymore. So
or
the argument I could,
or they could get a bunch of local sponsors from that town and all offer deals to someone and make it like more enticing, and it can get the community involved. But I mean, I just feel like, But most of the people I've talked to, everyone's kind of agrees. Like, I feel like the public opinion is that it's long overdue that college athletes can do this. So So when everyone found out, like around you, what was the vibe? Was everyone just like start celebrating? Like what was it?
It was more so just questions. Honestly, like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in my
Like,
my
wait,
locker area, yeah, and we're all like, hey, yo, did you hear about this? And did you hear about that? And we're all just kind of sharing different tweets we've read with different sources, and we're all kind of just speculating. What does this mean? Uh, to be honest, it was more so confusion in the beginning.
confusion.
Yeah, but also excitement, of course, because this was on you, and we're kind of, in a sense, pioneering this new
Mm-hmm.
age of college football. So I would say a strong combination of both. But since then we've gotten obviously more answers and more resources, and
Yeah.
we have a
How have
better
you seen
idea.
it? How have you seen it shake out in the first month? Like, how many players on the USC football team have deals? Like half,
Yeah,
two, all of them? Like how many?
yeah, it depends what you define as a deal. There's a lot of
True.
situations where brands will just send you gear,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put it on your Instagram story or something, but you're not signing anything,
Mm-hmm.
contract. So I don't know if you would define that as a deal, but that's
Well,
very, very
were
common.
they not allowed to do that before?
No.
That's like so illogical. Like whatever, it's changed now. But okay, so I wouldn't count that as a deal. If someone gets a free cup, a free shirt, that's cool. That's not something you rap about and like brag about. Like you
Right,
got a
right,
free
right.
shirt. Like cool. You want to sign those deals. Like you want to sign those
Yeah.
those contracts. Like
So
uh,
yeah, the big deals you're talking about, those are much rarer.
rare.
Yeah, and then if you look at all of college football, it's really only the top 1%, and
Oh
and the
really?
guys who are making, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a story recently with Bryce Young in Alabama who's
Mm-hmm.
nearing $1 million.
Yep.
So there's only a one starting quarterback at Alabama, right? And so it's not as crazy as people think it is. It's more so there's a lot of free gear and shout outs and stuff like that. But
Yeah. No, I've been researching it a lot, and I'm interested in maybe like putting together an article for like mid-level college athletes, like a D2 swimmer, on like here's some things you can actually do to make money. Because obviously, the star players, they don't have to do anything. They just get the offers. But like if you're in the middle somewhere and you can hustle, and like you might not get a national thing, but like if a local shop, a local place, might give you $1,000 to promote something. Like there you go. That's beer money. That's college money. Like
yeah,
uh, there's some things there. And I saw the quarterback, what's Kadon Slovis? Is that how you say it?
Keaton, yeah,
Um, Keaton Slovis. All right, the college season didn't start yet, so I'm not that sharp on it. But he signed with Clutch Sports, which is like LeBron's agency.
yep,
So like, what does that mean? What is he
yeah,
walking around now with like all these shirts,
yeah,
or like what's it mean that he
exactly.
signed
Yeah,
with them?
Keaton's pulling up in a Ferrari to practice this afternoon. No, no, no. Keaton's a real humble guy. Honestly, it's from what I understand, you're not allowed to sign an agent to represent you for football purposes and NFL draft purposes. It's all
Mm,
NIL marketing, and so that's the way they're funneling it. And it's not to say that, is he going to sign with Clutch for his football stuff? Probably, and that's
yeah, like come on,
yeah,
like
yeah. But
of
that's the way
course.
they're framing it.
So
It's
they're
all for
framing
NIL
it
marketing.
okay, because if they did say we're signing him and we're going to help him through his college career and then through the draft process, and then if he gets a big deal, we're going to sign him. That's not allowed, right?
Technically, no, from what I understand. So
Okay,
you-
and I
you're
know
not
the
allowed
rules are
to
just
have
shaping
made
out,
the exactly, exactly.
but they can sign him to help him get endorsements and monetize on his name, image, and likeness for right now as a college athlete.
Correct. Yeah. So it's all as a student athlete, any opportunities that would come to you, whether it be brand sponsorship, social media stuff. I'm doing something similar on my end. I'm signing with a manager out here in Los Angeles. So she's
Nice.
just gonna help me kind of streamline all the podcast stuff, all the social media stuff, so that I can take more time to do the things that I want to do. Football,
Yeah,
physical therapy, watch film. That way I don't have to take time away from that stuff. But
I agree, man. Like I've been thinking about it a little bit. Like I'm not a college athlete, but like I was thinking one of the things for people to do is like get someone to help them with all their inquiries. Like if you're getting even 15 emails about sponsorships, like that's kind of a lot. And then you got to like respond and then wait for a response. And then I've
exactly.
seen articles about a lot of people's like mom or parents that are kind of helping them with that, which is, it's not as cool as it sounds like when you get a manager, but then they probably want to cut or something. But that is like, I think a really good thing for people to do. Another thing I was thinking about was like the local, like if you're huge, Alabama quarterback, you have a national presence. If you're just in the area, like Iowa basketball, I saw one of the Iowa basketball players did a deal with like a firework company, and he did like an appearance and like showed up and like got paid to kind of meet and greet like this firework fair or something. And then I saw the Notre Dame, which by the way, I'm a Notre Dame football fan, so go Irish.
6, Jones is the back. He's got it again. And Jones a lot of room. Tony Jones makes a cut, gets a block, and scores! Frankful and the Irish walk-off winners.
That's
Whatever.
tough, man.
Yeah, but the offensive line, they signed a deal with a barbecue place. So it's like hogs eating hogs or whatever. But the interesting thing I thought about that was like the sponsorship is with a Notre Dame offensive line. So like, I think if you like team up with a couple of your teammates, you can be like the USC football team or the USC quarterbacks. And that is like, maybe has more of an appeal than just like an individual name. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, as a group, that's actually very interesting. I've thought about doing that. I've kind of thought about in my head what it would look like if we ran like a quarterback camp out here in LA and we teamed up with like the UCLA guys, and it was, however many quarterbacks we have here, say it's 6 or 7 and another 6 or 7 UCLA, and we were all just coaches for because I'm thinking myself as a youth football quarterback. I mean, I would kill for that opportunity to be coached by
what
those
coach
guys.
would not want to send every single kid there? Every kid in the state is going to come to that.
Absolutely.
And you put on the like the flyer or the post, like USC, UCLA quarterbacks all attending. And like that's marketing. That's your name, image, and likeness. You're allowed to say that you're on the team and in the position you play. So like if it was just your name, like that might not be as powerful as the USC quarterbacks, like because that's known throughout the area. So like if you have 2 people, you're technically, the team. So like team up with someone, call yourself the team. And like that, I feel like that increases your name, image, and likeness.
For sure. I mean, I grew up in, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was just saying, I grew up in Miami. And so if the University of Miami quarterbacks as a group were hosting a football camp, I'd be the first one there. It's a huge opportunity. And so, yeah, I think that's really cool. Even like the University of Miami football team collectively, they're doing marketing opportunities as well. They're doing signings and things like that, and they're sharing revenue. And so I've seen a lot of like, even like, so I believe it's De'Aaron King over there. He's talking about giving a percentage of whatever he makes to the team. So there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff like that going on.
Right, like revenue sharing. I was wondering because there's 17 offensive linemen for Notre Dame, and I was wondering like if it's a 17 like even split between all 17, or if like the starting 5 get more. But that's an interesting element of it. But either way, it's more powerful if you say like the whole thing. And then here's the other thing. All right, so that's this football camp you're mentioning. It's hard to create a football camp. All the logistics involved, right? Like that would be like a full-time thing. Like, what if there's already a football camp and you guys can just like kind of put your name on it and show up and get paid by the camp rather than starting it? Which one would be more appealing to you?
To me, as an entrepreneur and given all the things I've started, for sure, starting something from scratch.
Sure.
You
might be rare in that case though, because you like that stuff. Yeah. You got your truck and use many different ways. Like if someone else, they're like, here's 10 grand, show up for these 3 days at this time, and that's all you got to do. That might be more appealing for some people.
I mean, 10 grand's different. So I would definitely be open to that opportunity, but just in general, I love the thrill of starting something fresh and, taking that over, creating a team and, helping lead that. So I think something that would be very appealing.
Yeah, I like it. And it's all open now. Like when you had your nonprofit or like the Second Spoon, right? It's a nonprofit, I understand, but like, doesn't the executives in a nonprofit or whatever get like paid a salary? Like, were you allowed to make any money from that?
I think I was allowed to. I didn't make a cent just because, I mean, we're a very small nonprofit, relatively speaking.
Okay.
And so every penny we get donation wise, I wanted to go towards what we were doing and trying to achieve in our mission, and just wouldn't really feel right if I was taking money. And also, I mean, I'm blessed to have very supportive family and parents where I didn't need the money. So
Okay, that's awesome.
I mean, I do it to help others. So it wasn't something like that.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious because you hear like all these people that I heard this one guy wanted to go on a game show, but he was a college athlete. So he couldn't go on the game show. Like it's been so restricted by so many things. So you didn't even have to worry about that with Second Spoon because it wasn't even about that. So
No, but I couldn't put my face on anything. And so, for example, we were in Nashville. We were hosting an annual fundraiser gala, and a local billboard came up to us with the opportunity to basically market it over there in Nashville and West End. And I couldn't put my name, I couldn't put my face or anything on it, so it all just had to be Second Spoon. And that's all just going through compliance at the school. You just have to communicate with them and make sure everything's sound.
like I'm so happy that it's over because it's such a nuisance. It's such like a Johnny Manziel, like just sign some autographs and like gets torn apart because he's such a rule breaker, a bad guy. The media goes down on him. Like, dude, it's like, oh my God, relax. Like he's not getting paid by the school. Like, it's gonna be so much easier. Are you mad that like this rule didn't happen like when you were a freshman? Do you feel like you got cheated out a little bit?
Yeah, it would have been very cool, obviously, to have had this
Yeah.
opportunity for longer. But honestly, I'm more blessed more than anything because it could have gone the complete other way. I know tons of dudes who I played with in the past who are looking back and are like, damn, if I had these opportunities when I was playing, I would have made a lot of money. I'll give you an example. A good friend of mine, his name's Brad Kai. He was a 3-year star at University of Miami, played for the Detroit Lions. Just talked to him the other day. He was like, dude, I would have made more at the University of Miami than I would have probably in the league and off the field afterwards.
Dang.
Just
Wild.
as the starting quarterback for a major market city like that, the opportunities are just insane. So, obviously it's unfortunate for them, but I'm very blessed and
At least you got
lucky
right. At least you got like
still
a
be
year or
here.
two as opposed to not any.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Like Reggie Bush is trying to get his Heisman back. Like he got screwed. Like he should get it. I think he should get his Heisman back as a Notre Dame fan. I mean, nothing he did. What did he like, get a house for his mom or something like that? Like what happened there?
I think he took some money from boosters,
Like, oh man, what an evil guy. Like it's legal
which
now.
exactly it's legal, and B, what school wasn't doing it and is doing it? Are you going to tell me all these SEC powerhouses aren't? I mean, I know for a fact that they are, just
Well,
from
apparently,
guys telling
according to
me
your
stories.
podcast, they're fixing games over there in the SEC.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so I say get Reggie Bush's Heisman back, and like it's like I feel like it's a breath of fresh air, like for all the stuff. Like, you couldn't put your face on the billboard. Like, why not? You weren't making money anyway. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
What does the coach think about your podcast? Who Helton? He's the USC coach. Does he have
Yeah,
any
Coach
opinions
Allen.
on that?
You know what? We've talked about it in the context of this, and you may have seen the story. There was a kid. His name's Josh. He's homeless. He broke into our football facility, and he came out to practice. And so I was talking about it with some of my teammates, and we thought it'd be really cool to have him on the truck for a small segment, for like maybe
Right.
10, 15, to just kind of figure out, hey man, like how'd you do it? I was more so impressed, to be honest, with
Yeah.
the logistics. I thought it was an interesting story, and it broke national headlines as well. So I thought it'd be cool, and our demo would probably be interested in it as well. So we had him on the
Yeah.
truck, and so definitely that garnered a conversation with Coach Houghton, but not in any way where he's like, hey, you need to take this down or anything. It was more so, you know, he wanted to find the best way to help him out and get him the resources, just to help him out, in whatever he's going through. So USC has been nothing but great in that aspect, honestly.
Yeah. You hear a lot about college athletes can make money now, like start vlogging, start a YouTube, build your social media. I'm just imagining like a player in the locker room, like during the huddle, like going like this with his phone, and the coach like, put that thing down, dude. What are you doing? Like, you think there'll be any like lines crossed? Like, it seems like your coach pretty chill about it, but
Yeah,
Oh no.
there's definitely a line. I mean, guys are also for the most part have common sense with it, right?
Fair
You know,
enough.
you're not gonna show game plan stuff or things that are gonna compromise our ability to win football games. But also, I mean, I think to a certain aspect, I think our coaching staff understands that that's a recruiting pitch and that's a sell to come to USC in the first place. It's LA, it's Hollywood, it's the media capital of the world and of the country. We're really selling the whole NIL stuff, and so I think that the more money that guys are making here, it's a greater pitch for them in the long term.
That's so interesting. Like, that's always been a thing. The money, boosters, recruiting. Now the coaches can say, actually the story with Bryce Young, the Alabama quarterback.
Yeah.
He didn't say he was getting millions in endorsements. Nick Saban said it. And I kind of looked into it a little bit. There wasn't a lot of specifics. It was almost seemed like the man Nick Saban comes out and says it, like, for recruiting. He was like kind of bragging about it. He was the one
Oh,
who
for
made it
sure.
like in the headlines, like almost $1 million in endorsements already. Like, that's crazy because they have all the money in the world. They could pay to if it was allowed, but he's using the community or whatever the sponsors are essentially for recruiting, and it's a little bit of a gray area, but I mean, it's allowed. He's not paying him money. The school's not paying him money.
Right.
So that's interesting that people are going to use it for like recruiting, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
even
man.
here at USC, we've been preparing for the launch of NIL for months, and so we developed these partnerships with these outside firms. One of them's called Boulevard Studios, and they're just kind of helping us streamline the content and putting up more photos, more videos, and just being a resource for any guys who are trying to elevate their social media game and these kinds of things. They're also a resource for us in terms of contracts. If we're approached by brands and all that, we can hand that to them and they can proofread it. And so we've been preparing for this for a long time, but now it's actually happening. Like you said, it's a wild west. So
I thought you said you were throwing off.
no. So we didn't know when it would hit,
Okay, when it would hit.
but the university itself has been preparing for it.
That's awesome. I heard you hear like they're coming out with a new NCAA video game.
Oh
Are
yeah, I'm
you?
pumped.
I think it's in like I think I saw 2023,
Okay.
which will probably be after you're out. Like, are you? How cool would it be like to be in a video game? Because 2014,
Yeah.
that was before you, right? So you never got a chance to
Yep.
be in the game.
No, man, that's everyone's dream, honestly. Growing up, you played the
I
NCAA
made
video game.
myself.
You
Yeah,
want
I
to
created
play? Oh
myself.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Great. You do the dynasty mode, the road
Yep.
to glory, all that. So we'll just have to wait until Madden
There you
and just
go.
and just do the NFL.
Do you have NFL aspirations?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely the goal. I've been playing football since I was 5, so you want to continue playing as long as you can.
Yeah, man. You
Um,
said you're coming back next year.
yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
2022 season, I'll be coming back, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
Yeah.
obviously, the goal in the immediate future is to get healthy, win some football games here at SC, and win a national championship. So
The goal of being an NFL quarterback, like, I respect the hell out of it. That's a ballsy goal because what is there? 100 in the world at a current time, even less. Like, just to be on a roster as an NFL quarterback, that's a ballsy goal, man. So I love it. Like,
yeah,
I'll be rooting for you. I hope you guys go. I hope you're the starting quarterback next year. You guys go 11-1 and lose to Notre Dame only though.
that's tough, man. That's tough. Well, I think that'll be 2022. It'll be in the Coliseum too. So you'll have to come out here and watch the game.
All right, maybe I'll come to the truck if it's still going down.
Let's do
We'll
it.
see. But
Yeah,
yo, what do you think about this guy, Quinn Ewers? You know who that is?
I saw that. Yep.
He's skipping his senior year of high school. You can do that. That was my first question when I saw that. I was like, you're allowed to do that? I thought you needed like the federal mandate, which you needed like a GED or a college degree or a high school diploma.
Yeah.
What do
I
you think about
saw,
that?
yeah. Well, we have a guy, JT Daniels, he was here before I was. But yeah, I know him, and he did the same thing from Mater Dei High School out here. He finished a year early, and then he actually won the starting job as a freshman when he should have been a senior in high school at USC. And I think, Ohio State, either they've already named their starter or they've got a guy who's going to be their guy. So Quinn presumably won't be starting, but you never know. I mean, and I've heard really good things. I've never seen him, never thrown with him, but from people who have, they say he's legit. Apparently he's the number one guy in the country. So props to him, man. I saw he posted about it. He said it wasn't an NIL decision, but I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. He'll probably make a few $100,000 this year. So
he looks like Joe Dirt.
with the mullet, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a mullet. He looks interesting.
It'll probably help him honestly more with the just branding of his image and all that.
True. Like Anthony Davis has the brow.
Exactly.
The brow, and
Yeah.
he like sells that as part of his likeliness. Imagine how much he could have made in college. He probably would have stuck around another year, maybe. He would have been cleaning up in Kentucky.
Probably. All that stuff matters, and I don't know if it was a conscious decision or not, but I'm sure there will be tons of T-shirts with the mullet, and hopefully he'll be able to see some money from it. I don't know if you're familiar with the Coastal Carolina football team, but they had a really big season. Yeah, so
actually,
we had,
my producer Pat went to Coastal, I know about it. Yeah,
okay.
He's got friends on the team
Chanticleers.
and everything. That's right.
Yeah. So we had the middle linebacker on our podcast, Teddy Gallagher, and he's kind of started this trend with the mullets there, and they're like bad boy persona, and they had the whole thing with Zach Wilson that we talked about on our podcast as well. And so yeah, I mean that's part of their image, and I'm sure I haven't talked to him recently, but I'm sure he's making money off it as well. So
what was the thing with Zach Wilson?
Yeah, so they played BYU. It was a huge game, and Zach at the end of the first half there was an interception, and then him and one of his teammates, they basically just bully him into the ground, but they double team him, and so there's a lot of debate as to whether it was a clean football play or not.
Wilson, this will be the final play of the half. What an arm. It's going to get to the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted on the goal line.
You got to block somebody.
You got to block. Chandler is a linebacker. Yep, that's
what they're mad about.
That's mad, yeah.
And that's why they're really mad. Can't do that. Can't do that. That's
Or whether it was excessive. Yeah.
Well, the guy looks like he could get punched in the face a little bit. I think it'd be all right. But I'm talking about Zach Wilson. But yeah, that's crazy. Like a mullet or a brow. Like, you think this will incentivize more like college athletes to do something like that to stand out? Whether it's like I don't know, if you're playing basketball, you like hold the three up, or like something that's like your own little like Johnny Manziel with the money that would have been on T-shirts. He would have been making money selling 100%. T-shirts with that. You basically are creating a logo. A mullet, a brow is a good example. Like, why don't you get like a face tattoo for next year or something? Just make yourself stand out.
Dude, I'm open to ideas. All of that stuff.
Put your social media handle right here. Like, even if a henna tattoo, then every time the camera zooms in on you, you get some more followers.
Yeah, and maybe I'll dye my hair some crazy color, or I don't know, shave my eyebrows. Who knows? But no, that's an interesting point. I read that actually in it's called a book. It's called Athletes Are Brands Too. And it was talking about how athletes need to find like a distinguishing feature in order to be more appealing to brands and sponsorships. And obviously, the Anthony Davis is a case study for this kind of thing.
Dude, there's here's what just popped into my head. Rudy, like, he sucks. Like, right, he's terrible. Football player, Notre Dame. You know the movie?
Yeah.
He sucks, right? He might have been marketable as an athlete because like he was the guy on the bench, like cheering. Like, even if you're like the guy on the bench that everyone loves or something, that could be a marketable trait. And you don't even have to be good. You just have to be on the team. And you could maybe sell gear like, sideline or 12th man or something like that.
Yeah.
You got to be creative about it.
There's an angle. You just got to find it, man. Especially in this TikTok age. Can you dance? Who knows? You'll probably get some shit for it in the locker room, but I mean, those dudes are making millions of dollars. So
I was actually hearing girls are like doing better than guys, not because they're more eyeballs on the sport, but because certain ones are really good at social media. Like they're hot.
Yeah.
They have great like TikTok dances. Like they already have a huge following, and that's what they're known for. And the fact that they play college sports like just on the side, but they couldn't make any money before. There's the two twins, I think, from like Fresno State. I don't know if you heard about them. They have like 3 million TikTok followers. And they just got a deal with Boost Mobile. I don't even know how good they are at basketball. I don't even know if they play.
Doesn't matter.
They're hot. They dance. There's two of them.
Yeah, there's a gymnast at LSU who I believe just made over $1 million. She's got some stupid amount of Instagram followers. Because I mean, look, people think she's attractive and she's posting her gymnast photos and all that, and it's great for her. She's making a lot of money. So yeah, dude, it's gonna be.
You got a podcast in a truck. That's unique. That's something unique. People just got to think of unique things. Like, you want to know what? There's one of my favorite commercials of all time. It was the Saints quarterback. Drew Brees was the starter. I forget who it was, but it was a guy who was like always a backup quarterback. Josh McCown, maybe. And he did a commercial for Sprint, and Sprint was or Verizon, and Verizon was talking about how they had backup towers. Like if your service goes down, there's always a backup tower. He's like, I'm Josh McCown. I'm the backup. And I'm here to endorse like the backup towers. And I was like, that's awesome. That's a way to be creative and like get a commercial, even though you're backup.
A better network, as explained by backup quarterback Luke McCown.
Verizon has backup generators for most of their towers, so they're ready if the power ever goes down. I wonder why they save those backups and not just put them in the regular rotation. I bet if they just had the chance, some of those backups would really shine.
No matter what happens, a reliable network has your back.
There's ways
That's
to do
funny,
it.
man. I've never seen that.
You gotta look it up. It's so funny. I remember the first time I saw it, I was dying laughing. I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's so cool because everyone kind of know Josh McCown. He was like a high draft pick, been a backup on a bunch of teams. So he's just like, I'm the backup. I'm the backup guy. And he gets Verizon. I'm sure he got paid from that. So,
right.
And it's something that you guys never had to think about before, and you don't have to. Like, what percentage of athletes do you think will make any money? Like you said, 1%. That's like the high numbers.
Yeah. So, okay, how much money are we talking? Just any amount at all?
Like $5,000.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1% of. I think there's over 400,000. Division 1 through 3.
Yeah, because you have to think
less than 1% will make $5,000
easily.
I don't know, man. I kind of disagree.
Well, you have to think there's all these other sports that aren't as popular as football and basketball. So there's the wrestling, there's badminton, there's all these kinds of things. So what about swimming, diving? Like, how many swimmers and divers are going to make money?
I feel like if they kind of hustle or try, or maybe it'll come to them, but in their own little community, a local pizza shop, a local bookstore, like they will almost sponsor them just to do something good for the community. Like, here's $1,000. Like we'll do a post for our local restaurant. It helps you, and we get to brag that we have a wrestler that's promoting us, and we get to brag back to the community that we're supporting the local athletes. Like, I think there's going to be a market for those small people in their local community, and they might be able to make like $2-3 grand here and there from posting about a pizza place.
I sure hope so for their sake. The more the better. I think it just comes down to name recognition, honestly. It's definitely going to start off very heavy football, basketball, and then a lot of the women athletes that we were talking about. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, what's the incentive for? Like, it all comes down to money, right? So if I'm a small pizza shop and I'm throwing out a few $1,000s to a D2 wrestler, like, is that going to move the needle for me?
True. Yeah. Now might be the time where they might try it. So if you're that D2 wrestler, maybe go seek it.
That's true.
But like after a couple months,
that's a good point. And someone actually brought that up to me. I think there's going to be there's going to be a bubble in a sense here. In a few months where there's like a gold rush where can we find these college athletes just because it's in vogue and it's popular. But at some point it'll pop and they'll begin to realize it's not as profitable as we thought.
Yeah. If you're a D2 fencer now, go to the local
Yeah.
place and be like, hey, this is a new thing. But right, if the pizza place gives them $2,000, are they going to make back $2,001 in pizza and pepperoni? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe his thing is like after he wins a match, he like, I don't know, eats the pizza or something like, but
Yeah.
you got to be good. You got to be good. And a lot of college athletes aren't like marketing geniuses. They're just trying to get good grades and go to school and make their parents happy. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but like you also don't have to be great at your sport. Obviously, it helps, but you can be very good at social media and in other
right.
ways, like we were talking about. You can have a niche. It could be a very good-looking guy or girl or it
Yeah.
could be someone who knows how to dance, or it could be someone who has a podcast. Also, there's all sorts of different ways. You don't have to be the starting quarterback at Alabama to be doing these things. But like you said, also it requires time and it requires creativity, which not everyone's willing to put in.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mo's advice is be hot. It's good advice.
Hey, it helps. It helps
It
for
does
sure.
help. It does help. It's crazy. But yeah, it's I'm gonna be so curious just watching this throughout the year, like how it goes down. I mean, how like I guess NFL players don't like go on the court and like start talking about their endorsements. Like, I mean, they're wearing the shoes and stuff. What about shoe deals? Did
No,
you
so
do you wear
that's
team
all.
shoes?
Yeah, you have to. They're very strict with that. I mean, Nike pays hundreds of millions of dollars for us to wear Nike,
Right,
so
right.
there's no shot in hell I can wear Adidas on that football field.
And the NIL rules are the schools can't give you guys any money from jersey sales, from ticket sales. Like nothing can come from the school. So the school is still raking in cash and they don't have to pay you. So it's still good for them. It's really the NCAA that's like getting screwed, or who's getting screwed over in this? The NCAA?
No, I can see guys getting screwed over with signing poor contracts with
True.
bad language in it, who don't have the proper management or advising team. That's definitely something that we've talked about, and I mean USC's been a great resource. I don't know how those schools are going to be, but you mentioned something with jersey sales. The University of Michigan actually just restructured their deal with their supplier.
Really?
Uh, yeah. And so there, I don't know what the revenue sharing numbers look like, but guys
Well,
on the team
it should be
are
tied to
seeing.
how many jerseys sell. So like the
Yeah.
whoever produces the jerseys, that company, because the school can't give them the money, but if the company that sells the jerseys gives them the money, I guess that's allowed. So that's
Yeah.
cool. So if you, that's a huge fan base, University of Michigan, just like USC, huge. You do well, you sell your jersey, you get a like a residual check from the company. Like that's
Yeah.
how NFL players have it structured and stuff. That's awesome. I didn't know
And
that. That's
again,
cool.
that's potentially another recruiting ploy going back to what we were talking about earlier, where if I'm a recruit and I see that publicized on, Twitter or whatever outlets posting it, that might make me consider Michigan over another school now because that's another stream of money.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said the like the smaller schools are kind of in trouble now because like this is another advantage the big schools have. Didn't the big schools already have a big advantage? Like it what
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was
the
playing
same,
devil's
isn't it? Like
advocate.
okay. I was gonna say it's like the same. Um
If
it's like
anything, an argument could be made where it would create less parity that already exists,
true. Yeah.
because more universities are going to be able to afford things that the previously they couldn't do legally. And
Right.
the classic example that I've been thinking about a lot, more so because it's relevant, but it's me here at USC and the
Uh-huh.
University of Miami. Traditionally, they've won national championships, have won tons of bowl games and all these
Yeah.
kinds of traditional things. Lately, haven't been in the national championship game or conversation, but I can totally see these programs having a resurgence going back to like these early 2000s because of something like this.
True. I mean, dude, you're in Hollywood, man. You're in Hollywood. Like, who doesn't want to go there? Especially if
Yeah.
you're talking about name, image, and likeness. Like that's the spot to be. You ever run into any Snoop Dogg, Will Ferrell, any stars around there?
Man, I got here during COVID, and so
Okay.
it hasn't been the full,
Right.
LA USC football experience. There has been some pretty cool parties with some people. TikTokers are the new thing, man. It's weird, but like they're kind of driving culture, and
Wow.
I'm 23, so it's weird to say, but I'm kind of like on the older spectrum of that. Like if you're 23 on TikTok, it's kind of old. But those are the dudes now and girls. But for
Like
sure, I mean,
you
there's
mean
always
like in
things going
town?
on.
You mean like Addison Ray, like Charlie, like Bryce Hall?
Yeah,
You mean like they're like the
that's the
scene
shit.
in the
Oh yeah.
city, like not Leo or Matt Damon. Like it's
Oh,
Addison Ray setting the culture in LA.
different demographics, different. But I mean, even if you talk about music, that's all being dictated by TikTok right now.
Definitely.
If you turn on the radio, and those are all songs that are
Oh
like popular on
yeah.
TikTok and viral. And so like yeah, things like that. I've just made observations. I'm like, damn, okay. Like things
Shifting.
are changing. Yeah, things are shifting. It's not to say that Leo and them aren't A-list, obviously. Just different. It's just different
He's
demo.
invited anywhere he wants. Do you have a TikTok?
I do. Yeah.
All right, I gotta follow that. What are you doing on there? Like, are you just doing like clips from
So
your podcast, or are you like dancing
yeah,
and
I've been
everything?
nah. I've been putting the podcast clips on there, and
Dude,
the other good,
you gotta dance. Come on, USC quarterback, good looking guy, podcast. Like,
you know what?
y-
I tried one, and it did not go well. I'm sure someone saved it at some point, but I got a lot of shit for it. My friends were like, "Dude, you gotta take this off." And yeah,
you know what does well in there is like a duet. Like if you
mm,
find like I don't know, maybe like another quarterback from another team or something where you're like on the other half of the screen and you're doing something funny. It's like easy. And
yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, you're not old. That's insane. You're not old for like I know what you mean, but come on
yeah. Honestly, I'm not one of those guys that's like you mentioned duet, but like I don't even know how to make a duet.
now.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like I'm not going through there scrolling all day. I just put the clips because they're already produced by our producers, and we were gonna put them on Instagram anyways.
Right.
And I just throw them on TikTok, and I just post it, and I go out. Don't even really look at the comments or anything. Just kind of
All
does what
right.
it does.
Well, maybe I won't follow your TikTok then. You're not promoting it very well. Just whatever.
No, we do well on TikTok for sure. That's of all the mediums, that's the one where we do the best. Just I think that's just the way the algorithm works.
All right. Well,
But yeah,
you should learn how to duet, learn the nuances, and maybe do better.
you
But
never know. Maybe I'll put one out this week.
so you're gonna like keep the podcast like through the season? Like, is it, you know, you got film, you got practice, quarterback room,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, what's your plan for it?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And that's partly the reason why it's so rare to find an active college football player or even NFL for that matter, podcast because of that reason. And it's such a grind and you've got all these things going on.
Yeah.
And that was one of the pieces of advice that this guy, Will Compton, he runs the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. It's a
Yeah.
Barstool one. Him and Taylor Lewan, the left tackle out there. That was one of the pieces of advice they had. It was if you're gonna do it, you need to be consistent. And so if it's gonna be weekly, it's got to go out every Thursday, no
Right.
matter what, because your audience is expecting it. And I'm sure you've been in this game longer than I have, but I guess there's a schedule amongst your demo, and they
Yeah.
begin to expect it coming out at that point. So to answer your question, we're gonna backload a bunch, and so that's kind of what we've been over the
Mm.
summer. And so we've just got a bunch ready to go. We post every Thursday, and so it's just gonna help us out a lot. And also, I'm not playing this year, and so I can record during the season. If I were playing, obviously I wouldn't. I would want to put all of my effort
Yeah.
and attention onto the season. But
Right. Right. The one
yeah,
thing about backloading is like make sure if you talk about something that's like very relevant of the day, you know, then like you load it like 6 weeks later and it's like not relevant anymore.
yeah,
That's a good plan though, and you can still do it. So, um, yeah, dude, I like it. I'm gonna keep it coming, keep the guests coming. I like your guys' style on there. You're talking about everything from the Bachelor to the Mafia to usually something about
yeah.
Space Jam when I was DMing you.
Yeah. So one of my teammates, his name's Sierra Wright. He was the older son of LeBron in Space
Oh,
Jam.
what?
Yeah, I
What
actually just
position
saw the
does he
movie
play?
last night.
What
He's
position
an
does he play?
incoming. He's a corner.
Dang, that guy's
Yeah.
crushing it, dude. He's a corner for USC, and he was just starred. Well, he didn't have
Uh,
that big of a role. The other son was like in the world. I saw the movie; it was all right. But still, that's a acting gig, man. Like,
Of course, and I heard as well that he was offered a position in Outer Banks, which the big
it's a
Netflix
big
show, which
show. It's a big
I've never
show.
seen, but a lot of my teammates are really into it. So yeah, he's killing it, man. I don't know how he's gonna do it with football, which I'm planning on asking him on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Did you see Space Jam too?
I saw it last night. Yeah,
What was your take?
it was cool. I was just trying to figure out who it was made for. If it was made for children or adults or both. Because I've never like I don't really know much about Looney Tunes, so I don't have that relationship with those characters. Besides, like I just know their names, but I don't know any of their backstory or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I know kids now don't as well. But I mean, like LeBron's in it, and like I'm a big basketball fan, so it was cool. Like it was worth the time.
I gave it, like, I love the first Space Jam. I was excited for it. Like I like LeBron. A lot of things I give him the benefit of the doubt on, but I gave it like a 3 out of 10. I thought it could have been better. But don't tell his role was great. He was 10 out of 10. So you can tell him that. But that's awesome, man. That's cool. Like, and that's an interesting movie too, because it was all like inside this like bubble. So like, I don't know how they filmed it. A lot of good questions you can ask him.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard LeBron was there for a long time actually, for a few months. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I heard also that they filmed it at our basketball facility.
Oh, really?
So that's interesting as well. Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome, man. Any other, like, yeah, anything else to add? I mean, like, I've enjoyed talking to you. Like, I love the truck thing. The podcast, you're keeping it going, you're keeping it rolling. Any, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Still podcasting, coaching, in the NFL? Like, you got to kind of see how it plays out.
Man, yeah, I got this question a lot.
Whatever,
man,
you don't even need to answer it. You're gonna see.
No, it's fine. You know, I've definitely obviously think about it all the time, but I do enjoy doing the things I am now, and I would love to continue scaling and see where it goes. And it's not to say I'm married to the idea of, you know, running Second Spoon for the next 20 years or podcasting for the next 20 years, but I know that I love to do it now, and I love to help people. I love to have conversations with friends, and we've had success with it. And so why not continue to do it?
You're crushing it, man. You're smart. You're talented. You figure it out. You figure everything out. And like I said, I'll be rooting for you at every game except for one when you're playing next year. All right, dude. Everyone, where should everyone go follow you? Where should they? What's the handles and everything so they can go check you out?
Yeah, Mo Hasan 10 on Instagram. I believe my Twitter's Mo_Hasan 10, something like that. You just type in Mo Hasan, it'll come up.
You'll find it.
TikTok's the same thing. Yeah,
right,
man, really appreciate you having me on. I had a blast.
All right, dude. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for listening.